If you haven't noticed, everything's going electric. Mercedes-Benz has been a little late to the game, but they're making up for lost time now. That's proved by last year's introduction of the EQS sedan and forthcoming unveiling of the EQS SUV. Those full-size luxury vehicles might be more than you need in terms of space and more than you bargained for in terms of price though. That's where this comes in. This is the all-new 2023 Mercedes EQE. It's the mid-size counterpoint to the EQS in the same way the gas-powered E-Class is to the S-Class. I'm here in Germany to drive the EQE for myself and see how it stacks up against the few competitors in the class. Before we get to that, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe below and head over to edmunds.com/sellmycar to get a cash offer on your vehicle. In terms of size, this EQE splits the difference between the gas-powered E and S-Class. It's kind of the same size as the CLS. In terms of pricing, we don't have any information on that yet, but keep checking back at edmunds.com as we get closer to the on-sale date. There will be a few models available in the EQE line. The first is the EQE 350. It has 288 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque from a single motor that drives the rear wheels. According to the European standard, it should return 400 miles on a full charge. Now, that is a little more optimistic than our real-world tests. That said, our EQS test on our EV loop returned 422 miles from a 350-mile estimate. Now, 0 to 60 for this model is 5.6 seconds, and that may not be all that impressive to those obsessed with spec sheets, but that is plenty quick for any sensible driver. Next up is the EQE 500 4MATIC. That has a second motor driving the front wheels for all-wheel drive, and combined, they produce 402 horsepower and should get it to 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Finally, at the top of the range is the AMG EQE with 677 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. And that's maximum output if you spring for the AMG Dynamic Plus package. That'll get it to 60 miles an hour in only 3.2 seconds. All of these models have 170 kilowatt DC fast charge capability, which means you can get from 10% charge to 80% charge in about 32 minutes. On a 240 volt charger, we're looking at 9.5 hours to get from 10% to 100%. But enough of these specs. I came here to drive, so let's hit the road. From a dead standstill, let's check out acceleration. Not a surprise, it's instant, just like almost every other electric vehicle out there. And acceleration is way more than most people will need, even in this base model. And the power just kind of pours on really smoothly as you'd expect as well. I'm hearing a little bit of wind noise, but that's mostly because there isn't any other noise. There's absolutely no road noise coming off the tires, and obviously no motor noise. As a counterpoint to acceleration, we have braking, and it feels really nice and natural on the pedal. There's not a big change between brake regeneration with the motors and the actual brakes with the pads. It's easy to modulate, it's really easy to drive. There's really nothing to it. As far as handling, it's also more capable than most people will need. And if you're inclined to get more performance, well, there's always that AMG model. The steering is really light, but it's direct and also very precise. It's easy to just drop this car exactly where you want it on the road. Even on these tighter mountain roads, it's easy to maneuver this EQE around. It's not so big that you have to worry about width. One thing I also like is this nice big head-up display in front of me that's giving me a lot of great prompts for navigation. You have these augmented reality overlays that kind of get a forward projection of what's in front of you with these arrows overlaid on where you're supposed to go. It's really helpful, especially when you're driving around unfamiliar cities like I am right now. As far as outward visibility goes, it's okay but not great. This roof pillar right up here is a little thick, but it's far enough away where it's not really blocking too much through intersections. The view at the back is much more restricted. It really is just a narrow slit that you're looking through, but it's just enough to see some cars that are following further behind. As expected, ride quality is just slightly firmer than the S-Class or EQS, which this feels a little more connected to the road and gives you a little more confidence driving a little harder. Overall, my drive impressions of the EQE are very, very favorable. It's just easy to drive. It's really pleasant. It's comfortable. It's kind of what I expected from an all-electric E-Class. From the driver's seat, the EQE interior has a lot of cues from the S-Class rather than the EQS, at least in this configuration without the massive glass hyperscreen. And I have to say, I kind of like it. I might like it more than the hyperscreen, mostly because there's much less glare coming off of that big sheet of glass when you're driving, but also this is pretty easy to use and I like the clean design. I've never been that big a fan of the massive touchscreen that controls everything, but this system actually works pretty good. The buttons are nice and big and the menus are logical, so it's easy to use. As far as storage goes, well, we have this big bin here with 2 cup holders that kind of rotate around, kind of over-engineered cup holders as we expect. Wireless phone charger inside there as well, and a pretty decent sized center armrest bin too. There's also this really big bin underneath that can store a big purse if you needed. Another thing that kind of strikes me a little strangely is the use of all these capacitive touch buttons rather than physical click buttons. You do get a slight click off of these, but it's a little too easy for me to inadvertently hit a button that I didn't intend to. When it comes to other technology like driver assistance and advanced safety features, there's really not a lot to say, even though there are a lot of features there. They don't really pop up until you really need them. I'm not getting any false alarms, even on some of these really tight roads following closely behind other cars. Overall, it's a really pleasant driving experience and it's a nice place to sit here in these comfy seats. Of course, in the higher trim levels and as options, you can get massaging seats and other comfort-related items that kind of fall in line with the S-Class as well. But since this is slightly smaller than the S-Class, I want to check out how much space there is in the rear seats. So come on. All right, well, the back seats, I'm happy to report, have plenty of space. I am 5'10", sitting behind the driver's seat, which is set for me, and I have plenty of space for my feet and knees, and my head is just barely brushing the headliner. Well, that's pretty good. I could easily spend some time back here. These are adult-sized rear seats, though I think 6-footers would be better suited up front. Passengers back here are also treated to their own personal climate controls, as well as 2 USB-C charge ports. And you have heated outboard seats. That comes in handy when it's cold here in Bavaria. Behind the rear seats, we have about 15 cubic feet of cargo space in the trunk, which is about average for a mid-size sedan, but I would actually expect just a little bit more space. That said, it is a very usable space and you can easily get a couple's retreat worth of luggage back there. So where does this EQE leave me? Well, it's pretty simple. It fulfilled all of the expectations I had leading into this drive. It really is just a smaller version of the EQS, making it slightly more fun to drive. Now, it's not quite as crazy fun to drive as a Porsche Taycan or Audi e-tron GT. No, this is more traditional luxury, at least in the base models. I'm sure the AMG version might give them a run for the money. Compared to the Model S, well, it's a little bit smaller, but benefits from a much better build quality, and it is also easier to use. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to head over to Edmunds.com for all the latest news, reviews, and comparisons against the EQE and all of its rivals.